Life. Life is a disease. A millennium ago, a supreme necromancer was on the verge of conquering the world. But you know what they say about best-laid plans. Inevitably, heroes shall emerge. So, I was made dead. Again. But what does death really mean for somebody who has mastered it, Boredom. An eternity to ponder my errors and how close I came to victory. I am a mortal, but when this world ends, even I will know oblivion. And so, I ask myself, will I be given another chance to rise before it happens? Another chance to fulfill my ambition? It seems that fate has smiled after all.
Hooray! So, this is a neat little game. It's called Iratus, and it's a Dark Souls sort of, not Dark Souls, Darkest Dungeon inspired game. It's turn-based, just like Darkest Dungeon, and instead of being the hero, you're kind of the bad guy. And honestly, the vibe the game sort of gives you from the start is quite good. It has a very good theme, it runs with it, and it never really fails to showcase what it wants to show you from the get-go. Now, it's made by a company called Unfrozen, and this is their only game to my knowledge. They're published by Daedalic Entertainment, and they mostly sort of publish smaller indie titles, with some exceptions. Now, when I talk about Darkest Dungeon, the difference here is it's not a rogue-like experience, but it's also not a rogue-lite experience. It's sort of both. Because sure, it has bonuses that carry over from campaign to campaign, but it also has a restart sort of fresh completely, right? So it has both, right? In the weirdest way, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to pick more pain. Nice. So I'm going to hop right in, and the reason I'm going to do that is because, well, as you can see, it's a very, very, very stylistic and very, very pretty game. Like it's very quiet, though, and you'll notice that when you're in here, the music sort of takes a back seat. Like, even if I were to increase it, it's very sort of silent in its delivery. Except for the intro, as you heard, the intro is very loud, and it usually is. It's quite strange. Now, I usually talk about the options menu before I go into the game, but I'm really excited. But also, the options menu doesn't really have anything. I mean, look at this. This is all you get. This is it. There's nothing else. So, I mean, yeah, that's all you're gonna get. Now, this looks confusing, and to some, this looks like a very busy sort of screen, but it's really not. Trust me. Now, I said turn-based, and I meant it. You can sit here forever, nothing will happen. So, I will show you, bit by bit, exactly what the game offers you, what its sort of theme is. So, I'll talk about this part of the game first. Mana is used in the fights, pretty much exclusively, and it controls what spells you use, and you can use one spell every sort of big turn. Like when it's your turn, your minion's turn, you can use the spell if you want, and then that's the only one you get. So, This is used for building, and pretty much that's the only thing it's used for. So I'm going to show you that. Hop in here. Now this delivers a bonus, any of these, every time you complete a battle or you complete anything, right? So if I were to go here and I bought this, it would give me, it would give me a random part every time I complete a victory, 45% chance, right? Which increases the more I upgrade it, and I could upgrade it 4 times a week.
More bones
So
for the
let's
dogs
showcase
of
that real
war.
quick. I'm not going to talk about this part. I'm just going to do it, and yeah, the voice actor for this game is incredible. Also very loud. It's a sort of same theme as Darkest Dungeon, the 100%. Like, the voice actor in this game carries the entire experience, trust me. So if I go in here and I build this, it's going to cost me this minion. It doesn't matter the level, nothing like that
All
matters.
these bodies were placed here deliberately.
I'm not going to talk when he's talking, because he's that good. It's a very good voice actor. I like it a lot. Now, the graveyard section, the buffs here are quite different. Like, they don't really, they overlap, but only a little. So here, for example, if you build this, you can put minions in here that gain experience. So if you have like several squads, you can sort of build one squad up while you are doing, running with another one. And there's healing, there's artifacts. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Now, there's also a lexicon for all the enemies. I'm gonna click this, but I'm not gonna show you anything in case you don't want to get spoiled. I'm just gonna show you generally what this means, right? So there's a bunch of enemies in this game. You're all gonna encounter them as you go in, and then here they are. You can read about them if you have questions, if you have, if you have any sort of, if you're struggling with a certain enemy type, you can go in here, you can check everything. So it has tools for you to use. Now, talents is something that Iratus brings to the table. So these are anything from passive to active. And that's like alchemy here, for example. You get more digger souls, which you use to build. And you also use these to upgrade certain things. So you can sort of have like so if I were to go here, so, it increases this chance to get an uncommon or better parts by. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. Let's get that. Alright, cool. Now, the talents in this is also how you get spells. As you can see in destruction here, there are some spells here. And if I show you a few here, you can get like a volley of spears, and they sort of allow your minions to set up stuff. So that's quite nice. And then there's another feature here as well. Artifacts. Now this is something that Iratus can wear, and they will sort of grant either a bonus overall, or a bonus to certain minions, or,
Now
it can differ quite vastly, so you can see everything here, but also, of course, you can equip them, or you can sort of make it into experience. Like this one, for example, is like, every enemy killed, you get more experience. That's nice. Let's keep that. And then you have alchemy. Now, alchemy is a DLC-only feature. Now, this game has a DLC. It's called Wrath of the Necromancer. You probably saw it in the title screen. And it adds a bunch of minions. It adds skins for minions. It adds, I think it adds 3 minions or 2. It doesn't really matter, and you'll see why, because there's a lot of minions in this game. And they're not stronger or weaker than the minis you already got. So it's not like it adds like a significant power, sort of. But it does add alchemy. And if you click on alchemy here, you'll see a little what I mean. Sorry, it doesn't add alchemy, it adds potion making, which is quite different. Alchemy is the best part of the game, in my opinion. So you can create like smaller artifacts here, and they will show you exactly what they need. And this is nice to have in the starter game. If you play on a higher difficulty, people sleep on this. When they complain about this difficulty, they sleep on these. You can make these at the start of the game, and you can sort of power yourself up. You might think 5% damage reduction, that's not a lot. Trust me, when the enemies hit you for 50, 60 damage, and your minion has 80 health, 5%, it's a lifesaver sometimes. Now, you can do different kinds of alchemy here. you can sacrifice parts for health for your minions if they're wounded, because they don't heal between fights, so that's important. You can sort of increase the quality of certain parts, and the higher the Iratus level is, and the higher the part quality, higher the quality of this, the more he'll, heal. So why is this part important here? Well, this is what you use to build minions, but it's also what you use to empower minions, and I will show you exactly what I mean in a second. Now, I'll show you the potion making. It's temporary, sort of one-use potions that you can make, and they're powerful. And every battle, a minion can use one potion, so sometimes it's quite good to have them on harder fights. Now, we'll get to creation, right? Now, these are all minions you can use, and they're amazing. Now, if I show you a bit quickly what this means, every minion in this game has not only starting stats, and they're all the same. Like, if you created 3 skeletons that had the same starting stat, all of them, and that had the same bonuses too. So it's not like it changes. Now, this looks confusing, all of this, but it's really not. So each minion in this game has a couple of attacks, right? Now, the attacks can only be used in certain positions. So if I kept this skeletons on position 4, you see he can't use this attack, right? But he could use this one, which pushes him forward, right? So you can sort of synergize and kind of tweak what minions you have and what they do when and stuff. So we'll use this guy as an example. So let's use this Unassuming Strike as an example. This is a attack that you can only use on the 2 front rows, and it ignores armor. See that? Now armor reduces damage taken flat out, right? So if you have 20 armor, it will reduce the damage you take by that amount. And sometimes you'll take almost no damage, right? So it's very powerful, very good. These ones, which is block, just flat out blocks damage. And usually minions will start with like 1 or 2 block, which blocks damage completely. And then the next time they take damage, they'll take the damage, and then armor will help, right? So what does this stuff here mean? Well, when the minion levels up and gets stronger, he'll get a skill point and an ultimate level, right? So the ultimate ability can be upgraded at level 15, right? Which, the ultimate ability is this one. Actually, it doesn't matter. Point is, the Unassuming Strike that we talked about, if you spec, you get to pick between one of these every 3 levels, right? You can pick any of these, as long as you don't pick the ultimates. You can sort of change how the ability works. So if you have a certain build in mind, you can change it. So this one ignores armor, right? Well, if you go for this, it ignores armor and block, so it'll go through. But if you went this direction, it will never miss, ever. So it's a risk-reward. And then you see this little icon up here. That's what this will give you. If you pick this, you would not only turn this attack into ignoring block as well, you'd also get 1 armor forever, right? And as you level, you'll get stat points here as well. You get 2 stat points every level. Now, there's another way to get stat points, and I'll show you how. So this minion will require all of these things to create. So let's make a skeleton, right? This is what it will require. You can click on this. I'm not going to talk when he talks, like I said. So this is what he'll cost to make. Now you'll see that this guy, he's got these here now. Well, if I had a higher level skull, like a green one, or a blue one, or a purple one, this will actually differ talent points, flat out. So if this one was purple, if I inserted that there, I'd get stat points. And there's quite a lot for each. I think it's 4 per rarity, I think it is. So 4 for a green, another 8 for a blue, and then and it's not cumulative. So what that means is if you get a purple one, you get 16 talent points, and each rarity below that will take away 4, right? So blue is 12, so on and so forth. So you can really power up your minions, and then they have 2 slots for artifacts, which is these things here that I talked about. These things here. These are going to the minions, right? So what does all this mean? Well, it means that you have a lot of tweaking you can do to get a team that you like. So if I were to make a team real quick, I'll make a Reaper, which is the DLC one. That's why I'm making him, so you get to see what he's like. Alright, let's put him here. And why do we do that? Well, because this guy's going to be a buffer, I've decided. Yep, sure, whatever. And then we'll have, I don't know, the Mummy. He's kind of cool. Yeah, here he is. What do we want as a front line? What would be fun? The Ghoul is kind of cool. Headhunter is kind of cool. Got a Bride of Iratus. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe we'll go Bone Golem. That'll be also kind of nice.
You will bring me their heads, their
I don't
hearts,
remember
and everything else.
what each of these do, but it's not really relevant. Every time you make a minion, he will usually have something to say. It's kind of neat. So here's my team. You can have several teams, but I usually run one and power it up immensely, which you can't really 100% do later. You'll have to have some replacement people in case they die. Now, this entire game mode here that I talked about, this is the second part of the game, which is the dungeon. Now, the dungeon has, as you can see, 6 stages. Right? And the 6th stage is added by the Wrath of the Necromancer, I believe. Now, this is Slay the Spire-esque. So, I can go back to here if I want to. I don't have to commit, right? But in order to progress and gain Digger Souls and, you know, levels and all that, I will need to kill people. Now, this entire dungeon is going to lead up to this boss here. Now, what path I take is up to me. I can go anywhere I want, really. But I can't go back. What that means is, if I went up this path, up here, I can't go down here anymore. I can only go forward. So sometimes it's better to try and paint an S. You know what I mean? Like this. So you get as many rooms as possible in order to try and, you know, make sure that you get as many rooms. So sometimes a suboptimal path is better than the optimal one. So let's go in here, for example. This is going to be, what, the first fight? Now, there's something I haven't mentioned, but I will show you here instead. Look at the art style of this game. It's incredible, right? Now, you might be a bit confused here. Like, you're looking at these minions, and there's something I haven't mentioned. Right? And what I haven't mentioned is that each minion has a passive innately. So this guy will restore 20% health every turn. When it's his turn, 20% health gets restored. This guy, when it kills someone, he'll heal everyone for 10% health. So usually, I try to kill people with this guy, so that everyone gets to heal. This guy is immune to all buffs and debuffs, and the Mummy has a minus luck thing. Now, luck is kind of weird. It's basically crit, but it's also it also increases the luck on everyone else if they're attacking someone. So it's kind of wonky, but it's quite cool. Now, I mentioned that everyone has different attacks, and they do. Like, if I wanted to be optimal, I'd change these two around so that Tear Up would be available. Because these will be available anyway. Because this guy is very, very forward, sort of forward character. Now, there's 2 ultimates for every character. I didn't mention that, but there is. And they're all quite different, and they do a lot of things. But the main point of this is that I wanted to show you. You can retreat, but obviously we're not going to do that. The art style of this game is incredible. Like, even if you fight like this, it looks good. Like, it looks great. Now, there's another aspect of this game that I haven't mentioned. It's the 2 bars here. So you can either go for a full-on punch people to death, or you can scare them to death. Now, scaring them to death is interesting, and the reason it's interesting is because when they get scared, when this bar here reaches 0, they get insane. Like, they get a massive buff or debuff. Massive one. And you can play around this. You can have items to make it so that that buff is always negative. They could be insanity, so they take more damage, or it could be like irrational, so they start attacking. It's basically Darkest Dungeon sort of panic mode. The stress mode, but for the enemies. It's incredible. So I'm gonna try and kill this guy. But I'm not gonna be able to, but that's okay. Okay, so they attacked the werewolf. Now this guy, like I said, I'm gonna be buffing with him. Now, the buff is permanent, which is great. So I can do this, which will increase his armor and magic resist. See? So this dog is now quite strong, right? He's getting stronger. Takes less and less damage, see? Now the mummy, mummy is quite strange. If I were to try and scare him... Alright, cool. So I can... Let's keep going. So he healed now, right? Because of the passive. And you can read the passive real quick if you want. You don't have to go into the menus. Spectral damage. Let's do that. Alright, so that guy's nearly dead now. So I'm not gonna attack him. Now he's now done a stance. Stance attacks are like, he will attack when next it's his turn. So ideally I want to move him, because moving will interrupt the stance. So if I do this, suddenly he's moved, which means that attack he tried to do is just negated. Which means that he can't do that again. Which is, well, he can do it again, but he can't, like, it just interrupts his turn. Alright, let's attack him. Now, I'm gonna kill him. Now, this guy's ult basically executes, and it's quite powerful. But what we'll do is, we'll maim these guys. And he's gonna heal everyone now. Which, as you can see, yeah, right there. So that you can sort of make little synergies between certain characters, and they can get quite strong, stupidly strong sometimes, so it's worth doing. It's worth playing around, finding combos. Alright, so I'm going to try to make him panic. Now, you might find the animation slow. You can fix that by doing this. Boom. There is in the menu. This will increase the speed of the animations, which will make it faster. See? So that you can actually play around and tweak the experience, do whatever you want it to be. We'll attack him a little. Stress him some more. Alright, so he's getting pretty stressed out, which is what we want. Sure. So he's now getting a lot of... might as well. Why not? Let's do that for now. I'm trying to not kill him, basically. I want him to get stressed out. Alright. So now, he's now gained an effect because he's panicking. He's not knowing what to do. And that is, at the start of each turn, lose 40% of his maximum vigor, but he gets an extra action. So he gets attacked twice, right? So that's both a buff and a debuff, but it's pretty bad.
Another
like, it's pretty harsh.
towards my eternal kingdom.
So, as you can see, you can kind of play around. Alright, so I got a item here, Bane Aura, which increases my spell power. I can put that into a minion, and it will do that. Then you get some bones and stuff. And sometimes you get rare items. Now, this game, I recommend this. This is a lot of fun. Like, you can play this game, and you can have around, I'd say about 40-50 hours of this. Because of how many minions there are, how many combinations. Like, you might think these minions are similar. They're really not. Like, if I were to go for this one. Choose maker. The spider lady. Like, she's so different. Like, if she attacks someone, she makes them bleed. And this stack. She has a cocoon thing, which you can turn herself into a temporary tank that heals itself. One of my favorite classes, this minions. Now, what does the DLC add? The Necromancer thing? Well, it adds some skins, and then there are skins you can buy as well. A few of them, not too many. And they're not. I mean, they cost $5, right? So it's. I mean, it's not great, but what am I gonna say? Honestly, a lot of games do this. The default experience is still very good. Now, there's something I want to mention. This game is quite hard. Darkest Dungeon is easier. You can farm in Darkest Dungeon, right? This game, you can't. You can do as many battles as you possibly could absolutely squeeze out of a floor. Like this, he's doing what I said, like going back and forth if you can, right? But even then, you're gonna arrive at the boss eventually. It's gonna happen. And sometimes you'll die, lose, won't win. Sometimes you don't get the artifacts that you wanted or needed. It's RNG based, right? So there are times that this game can be frustrating. It can kick your ass, and it will every chance it gets. And there are points of this game where you can end up losing because you can't win. Like you don't have any materials left to create minions, so you have to restart, right? It's not great, but it will happen. It's gonna be inevitable. Yeah. Some people are gonna have a problem with this. You can't farm in this game. Despite this, I still recommend it. Now, what's the price tag? Oh boy. This game costs €30. I'm just gonna say it. It's $29.99, but everyone knows that means, 30. It's a marketing thing, so. And the DLC is for €15 or $14.99. Again, same scheme there. Quite pricey for a game like this. It will run you, it will run you €45 pretty much immediately if you want both. If you want the base game and the DLC. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I'll be honest, I do. If you like Darkest Dungeon and you want a bit different spin, this is not a bad game to pick up. The voice acting is absolutely phenomenal. It's great. Iratus' voice acting is good. The difficulties that you have available to you are quite challenging. They increase in difficulty quite quickly. Now, I mentioned earlier that this was neither a roguelite or a roguelike. It's a bit of both. What do I mean? Well, you see these minions here? You don't start with all of these. You start with maybe half of these. Right? Maybe half. And then you get to unlock the rest of them by doing things in the game. So I think Bone Golem was, collecting a certain amount of bone, which makes sense. Vampire, I believe you got by making enemies into vampires, which you can do through a spell, which I will show. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Let's see, talents, I think it is. Destruction. I think it's Ire, right? It's called Kiss something. Kiss something. Let's see. I read quite quickly, so... Blood Curse, that one. So this one turns enemies into vampire. You do this enough times, and you get access to the vampire. Or maybe it was the Vampire Hunter, which is the Dampier, which is basically a vampire, but not really. So, you have to unlock these. Right? I've unlocked all of them because I play this game quite a lot, so... That's not to say your starting characters are bad. Like, this guy is incredible. He's immune to crits. Might not sound great, but trust me, crits in this game, they fucking hurt. They are bad. They are so bad. And then there are some minions that are focused around stressing people out. Like Banshees, for example. They're loud, obnoxious, And it makes for quite a good stress character, right? It has a lot of stress stuff, like this, that. Now you see the skull with the screaming face. It looks like a screamo face. That's stress, right? And then there are some support characters that focuses on healing and, all that. So, there's different ways to play this game. There's quite a lot of hours you can get in this. I have nothing else to say about this game, actually. This is a roguelike experience, or roguelike or light, because it's a bit of both, like I said. Like, once you have unlocked this, then I say the roguelite experience stops, because this is available for every run then. But I'd argue that it's a bit of both, because you do earn these, and they do change the way you play. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're stronger than your normal minions. Like the skeleton is top tier, even though he's, you know, first minion you get pretty much. Or Bride of Iratus, same thing there. That doesn't mean that the newer minions like the Bone Golem is worse or better, but it does open up amount of styles to play and sort of gets a synergy going. So I'd argue that that's an increase in power, but aside from that, you get nothing. There's nothing else that will increase your power. So this is more of a... It becomes a roguelike experience after a while. And I think that's good. I don't think this game would do too well if you had a constantly increasing power. Now, I have nothing else to say on this game. This game is great. Get it, if you can. The DLC culture in this game is bad. Yep, if you want everything, yeah, you're going to have to fork out quite a bit. If you want to have everything, including the skins, you're going to get closer to, you know, 55, 60 euros. But I think the amount of time you can actually squeeze out of this is enough. But yeah, that's all from me, and I'm not going to plug myself, because fuck that shit.